ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Chapter 12 Devotional Service. अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततं युक्ता ये भक्ताः स्वापयुपाश्यते ये चाप्यक्षरम् अव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवीतमा.
Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested?
Text Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshe Mano Ye Mam Nityayukta Upasate Sraddhaya Parayopeta Steme Yukta Tamamata.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect.
Text 3 and 4. Etvaksharam Anidesyam Avyaktam Payupasati Sarvatra Gama Chintyam Ya Cha Kutastha Achalam Dhruvam Saniyam Saniya Indriya Gramam Sarvatra Samabuddhaya Te Praptu Matimameva Sarvabhuta Hitirata.
For those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, impersonal. Sorry, 1 second.
अरे अभी ऐसा रखने से अच्छा तो डाल के रखो यार, अभी नया आने तक ऐसा ऐसा घूमता रहेगा इधर.
Sorry. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me.
क्लेशो विकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्ता सप्रचितेषाम् अव्यक्ता हि गति दुःखम् देहवतीरवाप्यते.
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied.
6 and 7. Etu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matpara ananyeva yogina madhyayanta upasati tesa aham samudrata mrityu sansara sagarat pavamina chirapartha maya vesita chetasham.
But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pratha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death.
Text 8. Maiva mana adhyasvam mai buddhi niveshaya nivashyansi mayeva ata utvana sansaya.
Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt.
Atharchitam samadhatum na sakroshi mai stiram अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छन्तु धनञ्जय.
My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me.
अभ्यासेऽप्यसमस्तोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मद मद मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वण सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि.
If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage.
अथितत्पव्यसक्तोषि कर्तुमर्त्योग आश्रित सर्वकर्म फलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्.
If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated.
Text 12. श्रेयो हि ज्ञानाभ्यासान्ना ज्ञानध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानकर्म फलत्याग त्यागशान्तिरन्तरम्.
If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciations, one can attain peace of mind.
Text 13 and 14. Adhishta sarvabhutanam mitra karuna eva cha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukham kshami santushta satatam yogi yat atma darthanishchaya maya vita manobuddhi yo mad bhakta samipriya.
One who is not enriched but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
यस्मान्यो द्विजति लोको लोकानो द्विजति च य हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगे मुक्तो यस च मे प्रिय.
He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me.
अनपेक्ष सुचिदक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यथ सर्वारम्भ परित्यागी यो मद्भक्त समे प्रिय.
My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me.
यो न दृश्यति न दृष्टि न शोचन्ति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभ परित्यागी भक्तिमान यस मे प्रिय.
One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear.
18 text 18 and 19. शत्रु च मित्रे च तथा मान अपमानयो सितक्षण सुख दुःखेषु समसग्न विवर्ज्यते तुल्य निन्दा स्तुतिमौनि सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेत स्थिरं मति भक्तिमानी प्रियो नर.
One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipped in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me.
Text 20. Etu dharma amrutam medam yathoktam prayupasati sraddhana matparam mukta testiva me priya.
Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Devotion.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I can't see you, Mataji. I need to give you rights. Recording.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I will
Hare
make you
Krishna.
host now, yes? Then you can share your screen or...
I don't have a screen, so if you want to just put up the verse, that should be fine.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'll put
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Mataji, will you be able to put on the verse that we're reading today?
Yes, I'm just doing it, Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
Just give me 1 second, please.
No problem. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. So today we are looking at verse, so chapter 12. Actually recited it so beautifully, but we'll just try and Adveshta sarvabhutana maitra karunae vacha nirmamone nirankara samadukha sukha same santushta satatam yogi yatatma trita nischaya maya parta manobhuti vyomad bhakta same priya. Can you read the translation? Would somebody like to read the translation for us?
I can read, Mataji.
Thank you.
One who is not envious, but is kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, and we will read the purport. So, purport by his Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Coming again to the point of pure devotional service, the Lord is describing the transcendental qualifications of a pure devotee in these two verses. A pure devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances, nor is he envious of anyone. Nor does the devotee become his enemy's enemy. He thinks this person is acting as my enemy due to my own past misdeeds. So it is better to suffer than to protest. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8, it is stated, Tat te nukampam sukh samik samano pujante evatma kritam vipakam. Whenever a devotee is in distress or has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far, far greater than I am suffering now. So it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting all the punishment I am due. I am just getting a little by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is always calm, quiet, and patient despite many distressful conditions. A devotee is always kind to everyone, even to his enemy. Nirmama means that a devotee does not attach much importance to the pains and trouble pertaining to the body because he knows perfectly well that he is not the material body. He does not identify with the body, therefore, he is freed from the conception of false ego and is equipoised in happiness and distress. He is tolerant, he is satisfied with whatever comes by the grace of the Supreme Lord. He does not endeavor much to achieve something with great difficulty. Therefore, he is always joyful. He is completely perfect mystic because he is fixed in the instruction received from the spiritual master. And because his senses are controlled, he is determined. He is not swayed by false arguments because no one can lead him from the fixed determination of devotional service. He is fully conscious that Krishna is the eternal Lord, so no one can disturb him. All these qualifications enable him to fix his mind and intelligence entirely on the Supreme Lord. Such a standard of devotional service is undoubtedly very rare, but a devotee becomes situated in that stage by following the regulative principles of devotional service. Furthermore, the Lord says that such a devotee is very dear to him, for the Lord is always pleased with all his activities in full Krishna consciousness. So, Om Jnanatinirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're repeating this verse. So it was already spoken about yesterday. I didn't listen to it, so I'm not sure whether I will be repeating whatever the speaker spoke about. But I think we've only got about 10 minutes, so I won't go fully into it, but just some reflection on what's going on. So in this chapter, it starts with Arjuna asking Krishna, what is considered more perfect? Always engaged in your devotional service or who worship the impersonal Brahman? So Krishna starts with those who focus on his personal form, always engaged in his worship, and they worship him with faith. So he says that those who worship his impersonal form, their journey is very difficult, but ultimately they do get to him. However, he gives the perfect way of getting to him through the personal form. So text 6 to 7 is the top. So Krishna says that, but if you can't do that, so we can't all just jump right to the top. So he says that, well, if you can't do that, in text 9, he says, then try and follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. And then he says that if you can't do that, because, we might think that, that's quite challenging as well. Then in text 10, he talks about, if not, then just work for me. So, just work for Krishna. And then if that is not achievable, then in text 11, he makes it even easier for us. He says that if not, then try to act giving up all results of work and be self-situated. So, if you can't do that, then do that. And even that we might find difficult. Then in text 12, Krishna says that cultivation of knowledge is better, but better than knowledge is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of fruits of action. So we can see that Krishna is so merciful that he says that, okay, this is the topmost, but if you can't do that, okay, do this. If you can't do that, then do this. So, these are all steps, of a ladder that we can go through to get to the topmost. And then in text 13 to 14, which we are reading today, Krishna goes back to the highest, and he here talks about some qualities that if such a person has these qualities, they are very dear to me. So I was listening to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness is about being, very dear to Krishna. That is our goal. That's the goal we all have, that we want to become dear to Krishna. And so how do we do that? Now, when I actually read this verse, to my mind, Srila Prabhupada, he's the topmost like that. All these qualities Srila Prabhupada actually showed. So, that's what came to my mind. But let's look at some of these qualities. We have limited time, so we can't actually look at them in detail, but just let's try. So first he mentions one who is not envious, but is kind. So here Krishna is talking about a pure devotee. But, also I meant to say is that we shouldn't lose hope. So this is perfect. This is somebody who's a pure devotee, and we can follow in their footsteps. And, if we try and practically practice some of these, then we can also get there, but we have to follow in the footsteps of another pure devotee to get there. So So the first thing here mentioned is envious. So one who is not envious. Now, I don't know about all of you, but I can talk about myself that, because of this conditioning, birth after birth after birth, we've been going through this life, after life. And we are, we've collected all these characteristics and things that are unwanted, and envy is one of them, and it could be so subtle. Sometimes we think, well, I'm not envious, but it could be so subtle that it comes to your mind instantly. So for example, if somebody is giving a really good class, then we might think, oh, this person is giving such a good class, nobody will listen to my class now. So, that's how we think, because we are fearful, of our position, our fame. So, we want to be the best, but do we want to be the best for Krishna, or are we doing it for ourselves so that, it's for our benefit? So, and another example might be in any other service, somebody might be doing the service better, and we then feel that, oh, somebody will take my service away, or that person can sing better than me, so maybe they will get that service. So even, in little things like that, our envy can come through. But practically, what can we do? So what we can do is we need to cultivate a mood of seeing good in others, no matter who they are, and be happy for them. So my Guru Maharaj always says that when there is friction with somebody, or there is you feel that they might not be portraying all the good characters, then we should always focus on their good, and always speak about what they're doing really well, and so that we are cultivating that mood, that we are respecting others and always looking the good in others rather than looking for faults in them. And if it doesn't come naturally, we can practice this, and then one day it will happen that we will just start thinking in that way. And we can show kindness by teaching others to do that. And Srila Prabhupada is the best example. He showed so much compassion. He felt so sorry for the people in the world. There was one time when Srila Prabhupada, in the car, there were tears coming out of his eyes, and his disciples were thinking, oh, what's wrong? And Srila Prabhupada was just thinking, look at all these people out here, like, I feel so so much compassion for them. And, so like that, we can feel compassion, show kindness, like we do have that, but it's always to do with maybe our family or our close friends or our close circle. So, we might feel that, oh, I want everyone in my family to become Krishna conscious now. But we are not thinking about all these people, in the world. How can we help everyone else to, become Krishna conscious? And Srila Prabhupada actually was thinking like that. He was thinking that everyone in the world, they should become Krishna conscious. And then in this verse, then it's another thing that is mentioned is, who does not think himself proprietor and is free from false ego. Now, we think that we are the proprietors, isn't it? Any item that belongs to us, we feel that it's mine. We feel so possessive, like our homes, our cars. If somebody comes to steal our car or something, we get so worried that, oh, like what's going to happen, which is not wrong. We should worry. But, we are so attached. And when we are so attached to something, when we lose that, it is very, very difficult for us. So, we have to look at it in a detached way, that actually Krishna has given this to me. He's lent it to me to use in his service. And if we think of even our family like that, this family, Krishna has given me, these children, this husband, this wife, these parents, Krishna has given them to me. And, I should try my best to help them in their journey. So, whatever Krishna has sent them to me for, that is what I need to do. So that is another point. And then there are many, many points in this verse. I'll just stop on this verse because I'm conscious of the time. We need to start reading. So the other point that Krishna mentions here is equal in both happiness and distress. Now, how is this possible? It is so challenging, when we are happy, we're really happy. And then when something happens, we become sad. But how do we become equipoised? And it's only when we see the bigger picture that, it is all the mercy of Krishna, and in the purport, it mentions that whatever distress comes upon us, it is due to our past misdeeds. So if we look at that, then we don't become so sad or distressed when things don't go our way. And, we become equipoised when we see the bigger picture that Krishna has a plan, and, look at it that way. So I'm going to stop here because it's already 32 past. I had a few more points, but I think maybe they were covered yesterday. I don't know. But all we can say is that these are some of the things that we can try and develop in ourselves, make them our goals. New Year is coming soon, so we can pick on one of them and think that, okay, I want to work on this one. And, and then we will become dear to Krishna as well. And then in the following verses, text 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, Krishna gives more instructions and says, and they all end with the same, is very dear to me. So this is actually a very lovely chapter and very practical. If we want to become too dear to Krishna, then if we follow all these instructions, then definitely we will become dear to Krishna, which is our goal. So thank you, everyone. And so I'll start reading our family business. And we're reading that till 1:15, I think. So we are on page 101, starting with India. So Srila Prabhupada's strategy for building the foundation of ISKCON in India was the same as it has been in North America, to distribute books. In 1973, he underlined the strategy he was already implementing in a letter to Tejas Dasa, temple president of ISKCON New Delhi from 1971 through 1976. Without books, we will make no progress in India, because practically everything we have done so far in this country has been rested on these books. I am very glad to hear that they are selling nicely in Delhi also. Now try to tax your brain for finding new ways and better ways for distributing our books widely to the intelligent men of Delhi city. In October of 1970, Srila Prabhupada suspended the usual public Harinam Sankirtan in Bombay. Instead of chanting on the streets, he asked his devotees to show his books to the city's respectable businessmen. Giriraj Swami, among the first to take up this task, recalls that Srila Prabhupada instructed him and other devotees to pile up his books on the desks of reputed businessmen. His idea was that when these gentlemen saw the books and heard about the growth of Krishna consciousness movement in the West, they would eagerly become life members. Giriraj Swami recalls Srila Prabhupada introducing the life membership program. Srila Prabhupada said that it was a way to distribute his books. Life members would get a lifetime subscription to BTG, all present and future books, and a free stay in selected ISKCON temples. In response to Srila Prabhupada's suggestion to use his books to make life members, Giriraj and a number of other devotees began approaching businessmen in their offices all over Bombay. They found Srila Prabhupada's method to be effective. Just seeing Srila Prabhupada's books and hearing about the success of ISKCON around the world, the Bombay businessmen were signing up to be life members and taking Srila Prabhupada's books into their offices and homes. Around this time, Gargamuni Swami formed his own team of devotees to travel in vans to various places around India. Gargamuni would approach the proprietors of business in their offices, while the other team members fanned out to meet the proprietors' employees to show them Srila Prabhupada's books. Satya Narayan Das, a member of Gargamuni's team, remarks, Gargamuni's leadership really helped to expand the book distribution. He purchased six Mercedes vans in Europe, guided them overland to India, and sent out men in them in various directions to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. It was his organizational genius that helped to establish a BBT library part in India. As book distribution in India picked up, Srila Prabhupada pushed to have his books translated into the local languages. First came magazine in Hindi and then magazines and books in Bengali. Giriraj Swami remembers. In 1971, he saw the first BTG in Bengali. Srila Prabhupada had wanted it translated by someone who would do it for free, because such a person would have a feeling for our cause. I put an ad in the paper searching for the right person, and one man, Mr. Ganguly, came forward to bring out the first of Srila Prabhupada's books in Bengali. Tejas Das, who was the temple president in New Delhi, speaks about book distribution in India during those years. I used to have to sell books to maintain our temple in New Delhi, and also to help build the Krishna Balram temple in Vrindavan. I would sell to factories, bookstores, and through life membership. I always followed Srila Prabhupada's formula of giving 50% of my collections to BBT, as he personally told me that this was immensely important to him. Every time I'd meet Srila Prabhupada, he'd ask me, when you get money, what do you do with it? I'd say I give 50% to the BBT, and he was satisfied. Once I admitted to him that I was only giving 33% of my book profits to BBT. He had a long conversation with me about it, explaining why it was important that I give 50%. He told me that when he was younger, his business had failed due to lack of capitalization, and that he wanted his BBT fully capitalized so that it would go on printing his books. He also wrote a letter to all the ISKCON temples, telling them to give 50% from this book distribution to the BBT. This 50% formula was Prabhupada's super core principle of management. When my service moved from New Delhi to Orissa, the temple in Orissa was deeply in debt to the BBT. To rectify the situation, I bought a press and set up a bindery so we could produce an inexpensive Gita in the local language. We also printed Srimad Bhagavatam and other books. As we sold those books, I paid off the debt. by following Srila Prabhupada's formula of giving 50% to the BBT. And ISKCON Orissa was soon flush with money. Jasumati Nandana Das, the temple president of Ahmedabad, Gujarat, wholeheartedly embraced this distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books. He gives his overview of the progress of book printing and distribution in India. The Indian BBT, which Srila Prabhupada founded in 1972 in Bombay, was not publishing many of his own books in the 1970s. Rather, the Indian devotees were getting most of their books from the North American BBT. As book distribution through the Life Member program in India increased, some devotees also started a library party. That party went all over India in the 1970s, selling books to professors and librarians on college campuses. Finally, in 1976, Srila Prabhupada noticed that the lack of printing at the Indian BBT and said to the BBT trustees, "You got books from America for all these years. Now you should print your own." Despite this instruction, the Indian BBT only started its own substantial printing in the early 1980s. At that time, the Indian BBT started printing hundreds of thousands of books, which the devotees were distributing with gusto during the December marathons. In fact, during the early 1980s, the Indian BBT would print and ship as many as 500,000 copies of Bhagavad Gita as it is. The results are clear. During Srila Prabhupada's time, there were only 5 temples in India. But now, after so much book distribution, there are more than 100 temples in India, with more springing up yearly. Now, these new communities are also doing huge amounts of book distribution. When asked who was behind this increase, Jasumati Nandana Das replies, "So much of the credit for this rise goes to Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He's been inspiring devotees to distribute books in India since the 1970s and still does so wherever he goes." Gopal Krishna Goswami was one of Srila Prabhupada's first Indian disciples, although he first met Srila Prabhupada in Canada. He learned from being near Srila Prabhupada that whenever the Sankirtan newsletter arrives with his mail, Srila Prabhupada always had his secretary open it before the 30 or 40 letters that were awaiting his attention. What's more, he heard Srila Prabhupada persistently speaking about and encouraging his followers to distribute his books. Gopal Krishna Maharaj tells of his first attempts to increase book distribution in India and what he learned from those efforts. In 1977, I made a deal with India Book House, a popular bookstore in New Delhi, to display Srila Prabhupada's books. After an elaborate display was up for a full month, the owner, Mr. Gupta, informed me that not many books had been sold. When I told Srila Prabhupada about my attempt to sell his books at India Book House, how the display had been nicely done, but that there was little result, Srila Prabhupada replied, "My books are sold because of the enthusiasm of my devotees." And Srila Prabhupada spoke these encouraging words, "In India, we can distribute more books than any other place in the world." From those early lessons in 1970s, Gopal Krishna Goswami went on in the 1980s and beyond to establish thriving devotional communities centered on the distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books. He continues to travel widely throughout the world, encouraging devotees to take up book distribution. Although Indian book distribution was slower than many other parts of the world in the 1970s, From the 1980s to the present day, it has flourished like nowhere else. To emphasize how cultivating a mode of book distribution lays the foundation for so many other great projects, I have taken the liberty to take the history of Indian book distribution past 1977 and into the present, whereas in other sections, I do not tell the story beyond 1977. Okay, I think we will stop there because it's time. Thank you so much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to book distribution. Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can I just ask what page number you stopped?
Yeah, sure. It's 106 and it's the second paragraph. So we
Yeah.
start with another devotee who helped.
Another devotee
Who
who
helped.
helps. Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Really
Okay.
wonderful class. Yes.
Thank you all so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo ananta koti vaishnavendra ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank
Ki
you.
jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you for
Krishna.
very nice class.
Hare
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Nice.
Mataji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.